What's up, nation? This is Scraps from GriffinMods, and today I am bringing you our review of the new ZombieStrike SledgeFire. This blaster, along with the Hammer Shot, are the first two blasters in the new ZombieStrike line from Nerf. This is a brand new line, and I'm personally very happy that they are moving in the zombie direction because I think it's the perfect application for Nerf blasters. And also, obviously, the HVZ market on college campuses is pretty huge. So without further ado, let's get right to talking about the box. The general design and layout of the box is quite different from the designs that Nerf has traditionally used. We no longer have some male model holding a Nerf blaster. Instead, we have this illustrated design of a guy that looks kind of post-apocalyptic with all kinds of pads on, and he's holding the SledgeFire here on the side. Here we have the new ZombieStrike logo, a brief visual description of how the blaster works. Here it says it fires 3 darts at once, and then we've got these cool zombie silhouettes up here in the background. On the side of the box right here, it says, "No one knows what happened the day the zombies struck. All we know is that someone had to strike back," which is kind of a cool, ominous tagline for the new ZombieStrike line. On the back of the box, instead of having the traditional image of the Nerf blaster that they usually put on the box along with a little diagram and illustrations pointing out tactical rails and other features, they've decided to go with more of a spray-painted blueprint look, and it looks like it's been painted on slats of wood like the side of a barn or the floor of an old building, and it lends itself to that post-apocalyptic feel that they're going for with the whole style of this line. Here it says that it has 3 reloadable shells, ammo storage on the stock, and that it fires 3 darts at once, and it shows you basic illustrations of breaking the barrel open and then loading in the shell and firing the blaster. Here on the side it says, "Mission, defend the safe house. Location, top secret. Blueprint, SledgeFire. Function, blast multiple targets at once. Target, as many zombies as possible. Duh. Results, splatterific. Next build, for one-handed blasting," which is obviously a reference to the Hammer Shot. So that pretty much does it for the outside of the box. Let's go ahead and open it up and get to the blaster itself. It looks like the blaster is held in normal fashion with 3 pieces of twine here, here, and here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those free. In the box you get the blaster itself, 9 ZombieStrike darts, and a bag of cardboard stencils, which is a new accessory that Nerf is including with the ZombieStrike line. We'll start out by taking a look at the stencils, which are printed on cardboard, so they're not extremely durable. It looks like you get a stencil of the ZombieStrike logo, a zombie arm, the Nerf logo, a zombie silhouette, and a silhouette of the SledgeFire itself. I'm not sure exactly what the purpose of these are, but it's kind of a cool accessory to have, especially if you do painting or you want to put, for some reason, Nerf or zombie designs on another object. And these are basically green elite darts. As for the blaster itself, aesthetically, it's a much different design concept than anything that Nerf has built in the past. The color scheme is different. The blue on here is actually much better looking in person than in a lot of the pictures I saw. I don't know how it's going to show up on video, but it's more of a turquoise blue than a baby blue. And they've definitely added a lot of features to give it more of a post-apocalyptic look. There's giant screws, fake screws, all over the place and bolts. There's lots of venting and holes. Here you have the ZombieStrike logo. On the grip here, it looks like it's been wrapped with cloth on the pistol grip, and these pieces right here are actually pressed to look like they're made out of snakeskin. So this is a blaster that would definitely look really cool with a paint job on it. Up here you have what looks like a typewriter print SledgeFire logo, which is pretty neat looking. There's a tactical rail on the top, which is compatible with all the other tack rail accessories, except it looks like the tack rail has been slightly redesigned. You can see you have these slats going through it that are angled backwards. I wonder if there's going to be any future function to having those slots with new accessories, or if it's just an aesthetic design change. The stock itself is not removable. I know it looks like it might be, although it does appear that it wouldn't be too difficult to remove if you actually wanted to open up the blaster and start taking things apart. You have the ZombieStrike logo here on the stock, which holds 3 shells. The shells are actually held in place by a small tension clip inside, which means that they won't fall out when you're running and turn the blaster upside down, which is a good thing. This bar on the bottom here appears to be an attachment point, and also it looks like it serves the function of not allowing you to accidentally push the shells out from the bottom. You also have another attachment point here on the front, and there's a strange slot coming through right here in front of the trigger guard, which I'm not sure what that's for. I guess you could thread something through there if you wanted to, or maybe there'll be some kind of accessory that comes out later to utilize it. But as far as the overall appearance of the blaster, I definitely think it looks very cool and will be a lot of fun to run around with. With the SledgeFire, you get 3 of these triple shot shells, and they hold 3 darts apiece, and if you look at the way the barrel posts on them are set up, they are very similar in design to the way the barrel posts are set up in the turret for a strong arm. And that's because the firing system as a whole appears to be very similar to the firing system of the strong arm. You'll see that it has air release holes in each of the 3 chambers, so those are something that you'd probably want to plug if you were planning on modifying this blaster. And the darts, once you insert them, actually go in the full length of the shell, which is pretty cool. While the stock on the SledgeFire is relatively large, it's actually very well designed in that this curved piece is extremely comfortable and sits very nicely in the crook of your arm. Because it drops down and it's attached at the bottom of the pistol grip, it allows you to sight in very comfortably on the blaster, and it also allows you to be able to prime, reload, and fire the blaster all from the shouldered position without having to drop it down, which is a very cool feature. As far as the actual firing of the blaster, the hammer right here is what actually releases the barrel to break down, and then the blaster primes in the exact same way that the old barrel break did, in that the motion of actually breaking the barrel down like that is what physically primes the blaster. Once you have it open, you can insert your shell. There does appear to be a tiny lock right here that detects whether or not it has a shell inside of it. However, I've noticed no restriction in the function of the blaster, whether you're trying to fire it with or without a shell. So you load your shell in, press it down all the way, close it up, and you're ready to fire. So here's a quick firing demonstration. And I would say that was relatively average. It wasn't extremely powerful. We'll have to take it outside and actually look at the ranges to see how it performs. The next cool feature of this blaster actually happens when you go to load another shell. When you break the barrel back open, it actually has a spring that pops the shell out so that it's easy to grab and remove quickly and load in your next shell for your next shot. I think I would have liked it a little bit more if it actually ejected the shell, just because it would have been cool, but then you would have to catch and chase down shells, and when they only give you 3, they're pretty valuable. Now, if you remember, I was talking about how the firing system was similar to the strong arm with the barrel posts. The other part that is very similar to the strong arm is the plunger system here. If you look very closely, the air release system seems to be almost identical to the air release system in the strong arm, except that it's triplified. And I don't know if triplified is a word, but what that means is, theoretically, because these actually close when there's not a dart loaded in, I believe you would be able to load a single chamber of the shell and achieve better ranges than if you had all 3 chambers loaded, which will give you kind of a firing option. So that's something that we're going to test when we go outside for the range test, but it'll be pretty interesting to see how that turns out. The perimeter around these 3 air releases, we'll call them, is actually rubberized, which is cool because that means it provides a much better seal to the back of the shell when you're getting ready to fire. Since this blaster only comes with 3 shells and you can't buy any extras, we're going to do this range test a little bit differently. I'm going to fire all 3 shots level, and then we're going to go take a look at the ranges, and then we'll come back and do the angled shots after that. So this is going to be 3 level triple shots with the SledgeFire. And let's take a look at the ranges. So they definitely seemed relatively unimpressed from back here. The bottom of the 3 shots seem to be significantly shorter than the rest on each firing. Looks like we've got 11 feet, or just past 11 feet. We've got 2 darts. I've got 3 darts right here at 14 feet. I've got 2 more darts at 19. Just past 24, I've got 1 more dart. And at 28 feet, I have our long dart. So those are your level shots from the SledgeFire. And at least they're consistent. They might be consistently bad, but they are in fact consistent. Let's take a look at the angled shots. And let's take a look at the ranges. They did seem to be greatly improved over the level shots, but still nothing impressive at all. Here at 6 feet, we have our first dart. Here at 14 feet, we have our next dart. 16 feet, we have another dart. We have 1 more at 19. 2 darts at 25 feet. 1 more dart at 32. We've got 1 at 34, and that one's probably about 4 feet from the side of the tape. And then we have our long dart here at 36 feet. So very unimpressive ranges from the SledgeFire. I've got 1 more range demonstration I want to show you guys. While we're out here testing ranges, there was 1 more thing that I was curious about. If you notice, the air releases here are each independent, which means that theoretically, if you loaded just 1 of the darts, you may get better ranges than if you fired 3 darts at the same time. So we're going to take a look at that right now. I'm going to fire, we'll go ahead and do an angled shot and see how far it goes. So I can already tell you before walking out there that there was definitely no significant improvement to the ranges. Without opening the blaster up to see exactly how it works, I couldn't tell you exactly why that is, but you're not going to get any better ranges firing 1 dart than you will with 3. This is just past 24 feet. My final verdict on the SledgeFire: I think this blaster is a lot of fun. I like the concept and that Nerf is trying to do different things. I like the idea of the shell system and the way that they have it operating in this blaster. However, it does suffer from an extremely low rate of fire. And also, the ranges of this blaster are so poor, they're almost laughable. I would put it on par with a barrel break, which at this point in the game, compared to the ranges of the other blasters that Nerf's been putting out over the past year, I would say that the ranges from this blaster are almost inexcusable. The bottom line is that it's a lot of fun, but functionally, the only place I could ever see actually using this blaster is just for running around the house and tormenting friends and family. So I think that about wraps it up. This has been Scraps from GriffinMods. If you guys liked the video, please subscribe. And of course, thank you very much for watching.